What's good, YouTube? Today we have a BM Hunter in the Halls of Valor, +10. I've been loving BM Hunter recently. It's probably looking like it's going to be my main. What's good, YouTube? We just smashed through 1k subs, even though 97% of you aren't subscribed. So sub to your boy for daily Dragonflight content. For Dragonflight so far, I actually really enjoy MM as well. So yeah, Hunter's looking pog for me so far. I'm not enjoying, well, I haven't played too much survival, so still got to look and take into account the old survival part of the Hunter. But yeah, for now, I'm just having a blast on BM Hunter. So yeah, we're going to get into this. We're just taking out the first pack in Halls of Valor. The tank is now pulling these 4 mobs together. Normally you CC one of these mobs in higher keys, but there is the other strat of just pulling all of this first bit at once and lusting and just nuking it all. But that's normally saved for fortified weeks. You'll see that currently we neither have tyrannical or fortified on the key, so it's not really a problem for us, but obviously it is the beta, so we're just taking things slow. Some things are overtuned, some things aren't working as intended, and we have plenty of time to time this key. The dragon in that pack is quite deadly. It's got a frontal cast on it, so you want to make sure your tank faces the dragon away when you are fighting that pack. Onto Himdall already, we are flying through this key. It is only a +10, so you have to bear that in mind. But onto Himdall, he's going to use his Horn of Valor there, and he's going to summon 3 drakes that are going to fly through each segment of the actual area and leave a storm breath through there, which then spawns these tornadoes, which you have to dodge. Obviously very easy as a BM Hunter. I don't really have to think too much about that, because I can do everything while moving, so that is pog. He's also going to target a random, normally ranged player with that dancing blade, and he's going to throw that blade. It does, I believe, move very slowly, so obviously as a BM Hunter, again, it's just easy to move out the way of, but as a caster, you do want to try and keep moving away from it, because the blade does seem to follow you. You don't actually need to fully kill Himdall either. Heimdall? I don't know how to pronounce it, but there you go. And the other cast that he does is just that sweeping strikes. I don't know if all of his abilities are like a frontal cleave, but as a melee, just make sure you're always standing behind him. Oh, nice little disengage there. I think I had a little bit of latency issues in this key, so the disengage tech wasn't working too well there. A few little packs here that we're going to do before the next boss. So this big sentinel is going to stop you being able to CC or interrupt or anything like that the mobs around it. So either normally you would want to go whichever side he's not, because he patrols from each side here, so you just run through, take the pack at the bottom of the stairs, tank it up the stairs, so that when the sentinel patrols back, you're not there and you don't actually pull him, because on higher keys you are definitely going to want to kick those abilities. So on to the next one now. This is the Juicer AoE pack, where you can see the monk is doing insane damage here, sustaining over 100k. But Blizzard had to nerf enhancement shamans, didn't they? Yeah, nerf those bloody enhancement shamans when monks are doing 150k. His DPS actually went up at the end there, which is ridiculous. Here we've got another sentinel patrolling through the whole hallway, so you are going to have to take him at some point. You are able to skip him, but percentage-wise, it's probably worth just taking him. So he's, like I said in the previous video, he is the same as the mobs from Celia's Gambit. So he's going to do a charge pulse, which melees and ranged want to get out of. That's going to do big AoE damage. And then he also just single targets a player and casts Crackle at them, which then sends out a line of electricity. And you just want to dodge that, step out of it. And that's easy enough to deal with. These other smaller mobs, I think it's the Mystic, cast the Rune of Healing, so that is the tank job. You definitely want to make sure your tank takes the pack out of the Rune of Healing, that is for sure, because that's just going to do massive AoE healing to the whole pack there, so definitely take him out of that. And he also has another cast, which I've just seen, but the name has, I can't remember what it's called. Holy Radiance, that's it, there we go, we got it, it's all good. Yeah, so Holy Radiance is the cast that you want to kick as well, so that is just an AoE heal once again, but it's easy enough just to kick that one. So yeah, for sure, just make sure you're CCing these mobs. The rending strikes there, you don't want to stand in front of as a melee, and the snapshot, I believe, is just going to target a random player from those archers and just do some single target damage there. As you saw just then, my aspect of the cheetah ability lit up because the evoker used his movement cooldown reduction ability. I don't know what it's called, but basically every class has their main movement ability, and for Hunter it's obviously aspect of the cheetah, so it just reduced the cooldown on that, so we used it and it's already back. I think Priest is the only one that gets like messed over with that, because it actually reduces the cooldown on their Leap of Faith, which is probably like quite OP, but obviously as a Priest, just coming from Shadowlands with this season of having to PI everybody else but yourself, and now you have your movement reduction ability is now for someone else as well. It doesn't feel too great, I'm sure. So we've got the Blast of Light from the Aspirant at the back. Make sure you stand out of that. I believe he targets it at the tank, so if the tank can face the pack away, then you definitely want to do that. The advance there is just a leap onto the player that it targets, so ideally you would just want to stack in melee for that. Obviously don't stack it on anybody else, but you for sure don't want to have too much downtime by making him leap all the way out. As a hunter, I'm sure I could probably feign death that as well. I don't know how the tech works with that. It obviously seems very iffy with what you can actually feign death as a hunter. So we're probably going to start on the left guy here, I imagine. This was my second dungeon in Halls of Valor, so I believe we do wipe to the guy on the right again. It's still overtuned, the Sanctify cast. I think it's the monk that just completely forgets about it, which will let him off because I did exactly the same in my first Halls of Valor dungeon. So this guy here, Solston, is that his name? I can't really... Yeah, Solston. He cast an ability, Eye of the Storm. Everyone wants to jump in this circle, can get a bit sketchy with affixes like quaking, obviously if you're going to be stacked on top of each other. So that's just going to do big AoE damage, especially at higher keys. Obviously you can see it's not doing too much at this key level, but it definitely does ramp up the higher in key you go, so you could use like a little personal on that if you felt like it was necessary. We're now going to go on to Olmir, which he's going to cast Searing Light at a random player. Just a single target cast, does like some decent damage to be fair, so but it is kickable and it's the only thing you need to kick on this fight. So just make sure you're kicking that. Here is the Sanctify, which I'm pretty sure wipes us. There we go, the boys have stood in it unfortunately. So that is an L right there, but this ability, like I said in my previous Halls of Valor video, does seem to be a little bit overtuned, maybe by about 10 key levels, but that's neither here nor there. So you definitely make sure you want to stand out of that, even as a melee. If it goes live how it's tuned now, just get out of melee, do not get hit by it, because if you get hit by it, it's going to AoE damage your whole group. Just checking the overall there, little 50k overall so far, not too bad. Obviously losing to the OP monk there, but monks have just received a few nerfs, nowhere near as much the enhancement shaman nerf, which is very interesting, I must say. I don't know why Blizzard just decided to nerf enhancement shaman by a flat 25%. I've seen everybody going a little bit mental about that, because enhancement wasn't actually, although all my totals might have said otherwise, enhancement shaman wasn't actually too broken. Like, it was doing damage, but doesn't enhancement deserve to do damage for once? And it's not like it was doing crazy damage anyway. I was frequently getting out DPS. Granted, I wasn't playing like optimally, but like monks, if any class at the moment is going to get the 25 flat damage nerf, give it to the old monk boys. They don't deserve it, as in they do deserve the nerf, they don't deserve the damage they're currently doing, but obviously they did get a little nerf. I'm sure they probably will reverse the nerfs that they did, because otherwise that would just be stupid. You see the little gold AoE circle there, that is the other ability that Solston gives. So basically, you can see Solston is now empowering Herja with his abilities. So we got the Eye of the Storm and then that golden circle. I can't remember the name of it. And your tank is just going to want to alternate which side you tank Herja on. So we've just done one side on Solston. I think he might just stick it here. You can, in some key levels, or if you have the defensive slash healing, you can stay just on the same side. However, you can see that she's got 10 stacks, I think, there. So she gains... I thought she gained 10 stacks every time she cast. but maybe not. She seems to have gained 3 stacks there, so it's just going to make her Eye of the Storm, and I feel like all of her damaging abilities just deal more damage. You got the Shield of Light going out on the tank there. It's always going to target the tank with that. So make sure your tank is facing away the big boss there, or just don't stand in front of it. It's a pretty simple boss. We just stayed on that one side because the other side is too sketchy right now to be alternating sides. If you can just zerg through it, I would just bloody go for the left side as you walk up to it there with Solstin, because Sanctify is just the most scary mechanic in the game at the moment. You got Guaca absolutely blasting on single target as a monk there. They could do AoE, they could do single target, they got all the defensives in the world, a lot of utility. What can't the monks do? The lads in the chat are saying monk blasting period, because I said monk blasting single target. So yeah, so now we're going to go to the other side. We're going to go and see what Fenrir is up to. We've got to clear some packs here. I believe by the end you pretty much clear this whole side of the room, because you do need the percent before you go up to the final 2 bosses. But these mobs are pretty easy to deal with. You got the snapshot, like I said before. You got from the marksmen. You got, was it static lightning he was casting then, which I believe is just a single target ability, which you can interrupt. Etch as well as a channeled ability. I think that does some pretty hefty damage, and it also puts on a debuff for the duration, I believe. Can't really remember. I'm trying to remember back from Legion here with that, but yeah, so it's just kickable mobs, pretty much, like 3 mobs at a time. It's nothing hard to deal with. So now we're going to go through to the Fenrir area. You're going to start damaging Fenrir. Like the first phase, it's not really the boss fight. You want to hug left here, by the way. I don't know if I do. Yeah, I just remembered last second, because that dragon will come down there and it's not efficient percent to actually take him. So you want to be careful in this area to not pull too much mobs with any AoE. For example, when my barb shot stomps, it can pull these neutral mobs. Are they deer? Don't even know if they're deer, but yeah, we do end up pulling a few of them. But we kind of need a little bit of extra percent, so it doesn't matter too much. They're going to cast that AoE, which you can stun. Rumbling Stomp, you just want to stun it over and over if you can. If not, just make sure all your melees and tanks are out of it. And yeah, these mobs are pretty simple to deal with, I would say. You got the buckling charge from the stags. That's the word I'm looking for, stags. So they're just going to target a player and charge at them. Pretty easy to dodge, to be fair. So yeah, that is easily dealt with. Here we're going to go right, and sometimes, like, depending on your tank and their route, you take these humanoid mobs on the left. I can't remember. I feel like we do here. Yeah, and you can actually line of sight. If everybody line of sight, you can go behind a tree here and get them all to stack up on top of you. Some of them are throwing a bear trap out, so just make sure you don't stand on that. I'm pretty sure that's just a heavy bleed if you do step in that. You got more marksmen with the snapshots. I can't remember snapshots being too much of a problem in higher keys. But then I do remember that I feel like we would skip these mobs at some point, and that was maybe because the snapshots just get like ridiculous. Like, I imagine it's one of those abilities that just scale like stupidly. So BM's pumping. We have just had nerf, but this key was before the nerf. I don't know if the nerfs are live on pre-patch. I believe they are, but I know that they're live on beta, that's for sure. So War Orders, which was a 100% chance for for Barb Shot to reset kill command, has been now nerfed to 50%, which is annoying. I hate when Blizzard do this. If anything, they should just nerf the numbers. Don't nerf how the class interacts and plays, because it made the spec feel so much more fluid. But they've done it with so many. I just realized the evoker lusted here, obviously probably quite new to this dungeon, so we'll let him off. But yeah, you don't want to lust this part, you want to save lust for the next part. It's probably a good idea to lust for this boss, or maybe you actually probably want to. I feel like the old strat was to go Fenrir first, then you have lust for Herja, but then Herja's scary, so you could end up wiping on Herja and wasting more time. But I mean, it's definitely going to be an easier fight if you lust on Herja, that is for sure. You might even be able to push, even on higher keys, just one side of Herja if you have lust. These wargs are going to leap to people and do some pretty fat damage, so you want to stun them, AoE them. I should have like binding shotted them, which doesn't actually look like I'm talented into in this dungeon. So that is an L right there. But yeah, BM's doing some decent damage. I don't know how they're going to be performing after the few nerfs they've had. They've also nerfed MM for whatever reason. They just randomly nerfed aim shot. I don't know if that was a PvP change, but yeah, some of these changes recently definitely seem a little bit scuffed, that is for sure. So he's going to target us with the Ravenous Leap there. He's going to jump again like the Wargs do to one random person. If he targets you with Scent of Blood, there you go. I realized I got the bop from my Pally healer, so Pallies or just Pallies in general are goated in this dungeon because you don't actually have to move with Fenrir once you get the Scent of Blood on you. Because if you didn't have a bop, you would need to kite that because it does some heavy damage. I could have turtled it, but then obviously I'm losing the uptime, whereas bop is just OP because I can still do my damage, so that is nice. When he casts Unnerving Howl, he summons some ads, some little wolves, so it's a nice bit of pad for the boys, but obviously those wolves do hurt on the higher keys. So yeah, Blizzard should just nerf the actual damage of abilities. If they think BM's OP for whatever reason, nerf the damage. Don't nerf how the spec plays, because now there's going to be some downtime with the kill command resets that we were getting, which felt really nice with the beast cleave talent, kill cleave, sorry, where kill command was cleaving. So you were able to spam, like, after getting your frenzy stacks up and barb shotting, you were able to just spam kill command and AoE, which was cleaving to everything. So that just felt amazing, but I don't know what the vibe is going to be like with that now. So we're on 78% here, which I believe is actually the perfect percent, because these last two here give 2% each, I want to say. And then you're on 82%, and then I believe that is all you need to complete the dungeon. The last 4 mobs, the like mini bosses up the top, give you 18%, I'm pretty sure, but we will obviously see at the end of this dungeon. Again, these mobs are just the ones from Celia's Gambit, pretty easy to deal with. They put a little shield on themselves that you just have to burst through, so we're on 83%. So they give, like, maybe we were just over 78%, and it got us to 83. Monk doing 80k on 2 targets, absolutely cracked. So yeah, we are absolutely blasting through this key, not even halfway through, and we're coming up to pretty much the last 2 bosses. These mini bosses actually do get pretty scary at high keys, with like the Wicked Dagger is just a single target dot that they put on them. So I believe the strategy, you want to take Holdor first in the high keys, then you go to the right and take one of them, and then you fight Ranulf and whoever is left on the right as the last 2, because some of the combinations with what abilities they do get pretty sketchy. That is for sure. So yeah, we're just going to be single targeting these down. BM just does like solid damage in all scenarios. I haven't really seen it stand out with like insane damage. I've seen the clips of like BM hunters doing 600k. Don't have a clue how they're doing that. Like, that is just a full-on meme build. But like 33k single target, you just have consistent damn. Obviously with Bestial Wrath. For the longest time I thought it was Bestial Wrath, which would make more sense, I feel like, but it's actually Bestial Wrath. So yeah, you just get the consistent damn with the barb shot taking 12 seconds off the cooldown every time you're barb shotting. So BM is just very, very consistent spec, which is nice. I do like that. I like having my PogChamp moments on other specs, so I'm going to bring up the Enhancement Shaman, shock. When you get like the Ascendance procs or like the Doom Winds, BM doesn't really get that. Unless you're maybe like talented into Call of the Wild. So there's the Wicked Dagger on me, so I just want to... I used my Survival of the Fittest there. So I just remember that doing some big old damage, so just defensiving there. I probably didn't need to, but it's just nice to let the healer chill a bit, do some damage. Healer's actually pumping 20k, not too bad. Send the trap out to him over there. If the Ancestor reaches the mini boss, then I feel like it does some big damage, or it buffs them. But it's just bad news. Don't let it happen. It's just bad news in general if you let the Ancestor reach the mini boss that summons him. I can't remember which one it is that actually summons him, but yeah, now we're on to the last 2 bosses, which are just back to back. The tank is going to want to pick up the Aegis that Odin just threw down then. I was checking, I got the Glacial Fury buff. So I was actually beaten by the Evoker, which was the first time I've been beaten by the Evoker in this dungeon. I don't think I actually pulled up the overall at the end of this dungeon, which is very, very tilting. but we were definitely doing some solid damn in here, that is for sure. The only problem with this dungeon, there's a lot of RP. Seems to be the case with a lot of Legion dungeons. Like, you got Court of Stars, the RP at the start, and then the RP for the last boss as well, and the mini boss just before the last boss. But yeah, you've got the RP before Scovold here, and then you've got some RP before Odin as well, and then you have to actually click on him to activate him as a boss. Because obviously he is supposed to be a good guy. So Fellblaze Rush is going to target a random person. I feel like it's normally ranged, but it didn't seem to be then. And he's going to charge to them and do an AoE on the spot. You probably can like disengage or blink out of the AoE if you're far enough. And then for Ragnarok, the tank is going to use their special action button. It's a bit like Sanguine Depths, if you guys have played Sanguine Depths. On the Gauntlet, on the last bit, the tank will pick up the Aegis and then just use the Aegis to put up a shield. And then you won't be taking any damage from the Ragnarok. Spawn some ads there, which is just, again, some nice pad. Get those damage numbers up. I'm not actually doing too much damn here. I'm not doing bad damn, but the monk is just blowing me out of the water. That's probably why I didn't click on the overall at the end. Sag. But yeah, there he targets me there. I think I tried to disengage out of it, but it was just a little bit too slow. We'll blame it on the latency. But yeah, I don't know how, like, the Evoker is actually doing some decent damage there. Whenever I've played Evoker, I still don't get the spec, but I cannot do 32k DPS single target, that is for sure. I think it is mainly just disintegrate spam. I know they've had some changes with their like Eye of Eternity on the recent hotfixes. There we go, I was having a look at his talent, seeing how much he was pumping. Eye of Infinity, that's it, not Eternity, sorry. So I know they've had changes to that, and Guardians have had some weird changes as well. However, I did see a Guardian Druid doing like 30k DPS in an arena, so maybe that was why. But isn't that why we have the PvP multipliers or dividers? I don't feel like we needed to nerf Guardian or MM or enhance. But there we go, that's Blizzard for you. I feel like Shaman's always one of those specs that at the start of a pre-patch or beta is always absolutely blasting, and then last second, because everyone's pumped to play Shaman, last second Blizzard just nerf them into the ground, and then no one can play them because they're just going to do like negative DPS. I saw Max saying that if you took the best spec from every raid and nerfed them by 20%, they would easily be the bottom of the DPS rankings, except maybe Arcane Mage, I think it was in, what was that, Warlords of Draenor, WoD? I didn't play WoD, so I didn't actually get to witness that, but 25% is just absolutely mental. But I suppose that's what happens when Blizzard watches your boys' videos. They definitely nerfed it because of me. So here you want to, Odin's going to give you a rune that you're going to want to match to the rune on the floor. You see around this circle here, you got the different colors or the different symbols. So go and match it to that, and then you will get a damage buff, I think, from that. So you could save your cooldowns for that, or save your lust. Unfortunately, our lust is actually on cooldown. We are sated, and then that is the end of the dungeon. For some reason, you can still attack Odin after the dungeon's finished, which is interesting. Nice little quirk there. But yeah, we smashed through that dungeon. I didn't actually see then if I pulled up my overall. Let me... I'll check after this and edit it in if I did, but I don't feel like I did. I feel like I was pumping though, definitely, and I definitely out DPS the monk, that's for sure. No, I definitely didn't, but I would say like a solid 50k overall for this. I thought I screenshotted it because I remember thinking I need to put the overall in, but apparently not. As me plugging the old YouTube at the end. Cringe. But yeah, appreciate you guys watching. If you did like this video, feel free to drop a like, comment down below what class you would like to see next, and give your boy a sub. We've just literally hit 1.3k subs, so we're pushing for that 2k already, which is absolutely insane. But yeah, see you guys later.